You're entering the bonus stage, a podcast produced in association with oceanofbees.com, with your host Marauder,
Phoenix 923,
a podcast for all gamers,
console and PC alike.
Welcome to Bonus Stage.
Hello and welcome to Bonus Stage, a podcast produced in association with oceanofbees.com. As always, I am your host Marauder.
And I'm Phoenix 923.
And this week we're recording a bit early from last week, but so just keep that in mind as we go along here. But we're going to jump right into it. We don't have a guest today, so we're going to jump right to topics and news, because there's something that just was announced a couple days ago that I want to talk about, which is, of course, the release of the Nintendo 3DS XL.
So if any of you are not familiar with that, Nintendo has pulled this thing with the DSi, with the DSi XL, basically making it bigger with bigger screens. Same thing is being applied to the 3DS.
Yep, bigger screens, that's the big selling point. As for what is different between the original 3DS and the XL, pretty much nothing. The XL is going to have bigger screens, and that's about it. Oh, well, the start, select, and home buttons are now physical buttons, rather than a mesh membrane kind of thing.
Rather than just contact-sensitive type things.
And I think they moved the power button so it's recessed, rather than sticking out like the original 3DS one. But, I mean, minor changes.
But mostly everything else is just mostly cosmetic changes. You know, nothing really new has been added in hardware-wise. It's just pretty much all the same, just it's a bit bigger.
Has the same circle pad, same button layout. From what I've read, the buttons are slightly bigger, but not anything that would make me run out and get one. Pretty much.
It's kind of the same thing with the DSi XL. Why would I need to buy that? You know?
Yeah, I bought a DSi, and then like a couple months later, they're like, here's the XL model, and I'm like, I just bought the DSi. Why would I go out and buy the XL? And the thing that always ticked me off about that was whenever you saw a video of one of the Nintendo reps showing it off, they would always compare it to the DS Lite.
Yep.
And they'd be like, well, the screens are bigger than the DS Lite, and the D-pad's different, and the speakers are the same, but there's more holes. And I'm going, but compare it to the DSi, because that's what's right behind it.
Yep.
It's like comparing the Xbox 360 to the Atari 2600. It's like, no. No.
Although some people find that as a valid argument, it's nowhere close.
Yeah, so I never got the DSi XL. To this day, I really have no want or need to get one.
Yeah, me, I went from the DS Lite to the 3DS. That was my jump when it came to their handhelds. Just because I didn't really find a need for the DSi at all, actually.
I liked it. I thought it was an interesting, because it had a camera and it had access to the online store, and given how much I downloaded like virtual console stuff, I thought I would be using that a lot more than I ended up using it. And the screens were slightly bigger than the DS Lite, which was a nice little addition. Mm-hmm. Not significantly bigger, but still larger slightly.
Yep.
But no, the XL completely went under the radar. Which is weird, because I have every other DS ever released, and except for the XL, because I never saw a reason to buy it. Anyway, but to this 3DS XL, it still has one circle pad. I hear a lot of people complaining that it needs a second circle pad. That is one thing that I always thought was very strange, was Nintendo releases the Circle Pad Pro for the 3DS, and then they release the XL, so that device is completely, utterly pointless now.
Yeah.
It's because it's not going to fit, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They're going to probably have to either release a new one just for the 3DS XL,
or drop it entirely.
Just completely stop making it. Which I highly doubt, given Nintendo loves their accessories, so they'll probably come out with a new version of it.
Yep. And this time I'm going to buy 2 of them.
Yeah.
Because then I can sell one on eBay for 4 times as much as it's worth.
Probably still have to get it through GameStop, though.
Oh, yeah, no. They're still going to release it through GameStop. No question about that. I really don't understand why they did that in the first place. But, okay, fine. So, yeah, it's going to come out sometime in August, they said, in America. And I I hear that the viewing angle of the 3D effect is better, like it's larger, but that's more to do with the larger screens than the actual screens themselves. Like, it has to do with the physical size rather than new technology.
When we were talking about it, did you say that it did not come with an AC adapter?
In Japan and Europe, it will not come with an AC adapter. In America, I guess it will. The first time I was reading through the article, it seemed like it wasn't going to come with an AC adapter, but that's only in Japan and Europe. It will not have an AC adapter.
Well, that's still stupid either way. Even if it doesn't affect
I don't care
us,
what
that's
country you
still
live in,
stupid.
they gotta come with an AC adapter. How, if it was your first system, you'd have to go out and buy the AC adapter separate, and you're spending,
Which would probably be another $20,
yeah,
$20-$30, which would be on top of buying the system anyway. So then you're spending, what is it, $200? So you'd be spending $230 just for the system.
That's the same. That's getting up there with the Vita.
Mm-hmm.
I expected Nintendo to redesign the system at some point because they've always done that. But honestly, the thing's only been out for like a little more than a year.
That actually doesn't surprise me, actually,
Yeah.
because they tend to pull this crap every year anyway.
Right.
With whatever system they have out.
Well, they just announced the purple 3DS, like the midnight purple color of the original 3DS, and then they're like, and here's the XL.
Which completely makes the original obsolete if you care enough.
I don't.
No, me neither. I'll be sticking with my 3DS. I'm probably never going to buy the XL version.
I mean, down the road I might pick it up, but I don't see any want or need to buy it now.
I'm not ever, because I don't see a point to it.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's in the news. Kind of a pointless upgrade, unless you want bigger screens, and I guess if that's what's holding you back from buying the 3DS, good for you. You finally get what you want, but...
Didn't you also say that the resolution was the same on that thing, too?
Oh yeah, resolution's the same, but what they're saying is that it just looks better because they're bigger. Like you don't notice it. I would assume you wouldn't notice it as much as you would with a DS game on the DSi XL.
Yeah.
Because that looked really pixelated to me and drove me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's as noticeable in the 3DS because of the resolution being higher anyway.
Yeah.
They also said that the XL is going to have a 1-to-1 pixel ratio when playing DS games, so the original DS games are going to look better and not as fuzzy as on the original 3DS. But again, it's not something that ever bothered me, and I never had a problem with it. So...
Yeah, no, I've played a couple DS games on my 3DS, and it didn't look that bad. I mean, sure, it looked a little fuzzy around edges, but I was completely fine with it because it wasn't game-breaking at all, as some people claim it was.
Yeah, some people claimed it breaks the game and it makes it unplayable. I completely disagree. But anyway, moving on, the next bit of news that we have is... I forget what company this guy works for. Let me bring up this article. It's a guy talking about... I got this on escapistmagazine.com. And it's this guy talking about the death of consoles and how mobile gaming is going to completely and utterly decimate consoles.
Remember someone else who claimed that? What was it, the Angry Birds guy?
Yes, Angry Birds. Okay, Ben Cousins of NMOCO, or I guess, how do you say that? Nemoko?
Nemoko.
Claims that consoles will be killed off within the next decade. Basically, he goes on to say that with the rate in which people are using mobile devices to access the web and play games, that consoles are going to be obsolete in 10 years. Within the next 10 years, and all you're going to see is people gaming on mobile platforms.
Doesn't he also cover how the mobile devices are going to be our computers of the future too?
Yeah, essentially, he goes on in this article to say that, he goes on to claim that traditional game companies like Electronic Arts will be purchased by existing digital companies or close entirely. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting to read his comments, and really wonder if he's going to be correct or not. I don't think he will be. I think he's blowing smoke, but...
The thing is that, as much as I hate it, is that gamers want good graphics. As much as I hate to say that, people want their games to look good. And I highly doubt on a mobile device they can get the type of detail they want based on, the processing power of that phone.
And this is coming from a guy who sells games for $1.
What games has he made?
I have no idea.
Does it matter?
Yeah, let me look up the company right here real quick. NMOCO. Because this is the same stuff that we've heard of from, who was it? Roxio or whoever makes Angry Birds?
Yeah.
The guy from Angry Birds was blowing smoke pretty much the same way.
Congratulations, you think you know everything about the mobile gaming market just because you sold one game. And I'm not counting the remakes. It's still the same game.
Oh, I guess it's NGMOCO. Okay. Let's see. What have they made? Click on their games link here. Dreamtopia, Skyfall, Dragoncraft, Godfinger All-Stars, Wii Farm, some Pets game, Wii City, Wii Rule, Gunray. Okay, so they've got probably 25 plus games on their website here that they've supposedly published. I don't know how popular any of these are. I've never heard of any of these. Oh, come on, that Dragoncraft looks just like Dragon...
That looks just like Dragon Age, come on.
Yeah, that looks like a ripoff of Dragon Age. Yeah, I'd like to say he's blowing smoke, but honestly, I don't really... I don't want to say anything bad about the guy. I don't know the guy personally, and I don't... But it's interesting to see all of these companies try to figure out what the next big shift is going to be. Like, we were just talking last week about how Crysis is jumping ship to do free-to-play games.
Yep.
Because that's where they think they'll make their money. Well, here's a guy who thinks that consoles are going to die and mobile's going to take over. And then there's other people saying, well, that can't possibly be. Mobiles will eventually die out and it'll just become a fad like it used to be. And people are going to start playing on PCs a lot more. I heard a report saying that PC gaming is skyrocketing recently.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, considering people said consoles would be PCs. I mean, people... Look, you can say whatever you want. No one knows what the future is going to do, but I just find it amazing that a guy who sells games for 99 cents, probably, or maybe $1.99, or I don't even know, $5 or less each.
Extremely cheap. I'll just say that.
Thinks that, we're going to destroy consoles and consoles are going to become not obsolete. I don't really think so.
No, not really. Plus it was like what we covered in the last podcast, is that playing on a mobile device, especially like an iPod, you don't get that tactile feel of a controller. Just because it's all digital.
Yeah.
Buttons and stuff, and it just doesn't feel right and just doesn't control right like an actual controller would. So I just don't think that we're just going to go straight to mobile and that's it, because
although speaking of that, Nyko did at E3 really show off a couple of game controllers that look like Xbox controllers that can link via Bluetooth to tablets.
Oh.
And actually play games on the tablets with this kind of controller, and they even have an app that maps all the buttons.
So see, still got controllers.
Yeah, you need a controller to play a game. Like, all this Wii waggle physics and touchscreens and gyroscopes.
That's just a fad. That's gonna pass by this next generation.
It's nice. It's interesting. But if you want to sit down and play a real game, you need a controller. There's just no substitute for a controller.
Right, Microsoft?
Right. Well, even now the Kinect is being relegated to just enhancing games played with a controller.
Yeah.
Well, now you can do voice commands. You have a headphone jack in the bottom of the controller. Why did I need to buy this $200 Kinect? Just to yell at the AI, who probably won't even understand what I just said. Press forward. Press forward. Sorry, every time I think about that. Remember that game Odama?
Oh yeah.
On the GameCube.
Yeah.
I remember getting that and like screaming into the mic. Fall back, move forward, push forward.
Hey Pikachu, go
yeah.
this way. Go
Yeah,
this
you
way.
want to go even further back, the N64. Hey Pikachu, damn it!
Why aren't you
listening to me?
Let's look in the manual. Oh, sometimes he has a mind of its own.
Which
oh,
means,
that just means that he just doesn't work.
that means it doesn't work. You can't just relegate it to a mind of its own. Yeah, but like I said, I don't want to bash the guy too much, but I really think he's wrong. But then again, I don't know where the future's going to go. It's going to be interesting to see. All right, moving from the news segment, we're going to talk about what's new on oceanofbees.com. There are 3 new videos up since last time we recorded a podcast, and they are Ocean of Terraria Episode 4, A Light Snack. Basically, 3 members of Ocean of Bees playing Terraria and just, messing around. So if you like Let's Plays, go check it out. One Death Seth, Team Fortress 2. Basically a video series on the site where a guy plays a game until he dies, and once he dies, the video's over.
It just cuts.
It just stops.
That's it.
Which is always funny.
It's hilarious because he's trying to
tell you a story.
Tell these stories, and then
and then he never has time to finish them. And the last video that's new on Ocean of Bees is Minecraft Episode 8, 3 episodes later. Apparently, they skipped a couple episodes playing Minecraft Online and just decided to forget it and go ahead to Episode 8. Which is an interesting episode because I built a tower on the server.
Mm-hmm.
Just a gigantic... Well, you helped me.
Yep.
This gigantic lighthouse, and you can actually see it in the video. He doesn't go inside it, but it's kind of an earlier version too, because it still had wooden doors before I did the door switch.
Yeah.
So, if you want to see my tower, it's in that video. If you want to see the outside of the tower. But other than that, looks like everything else is as it was. There's no new blogs and no new podcasts as of yet. Okay, so moving forward, we actually do have questions!
Yay!
I'm very excited. A YouTube user by the name of Johnny Johnson, who is a really early subscriber of mine, and he comments a lot on my videos and vice versa, has asked 3 questions of us, and I think we owe it to the show to actually get this segment off the ground. So we've got 3 questions. Question number 1, how did you come up with your screen names? Marauder, NOR, and Phoenix 923. And Phoenix, I'll just let you handle the first question.
The way that I got my screen name, it's from a long list of other screen names, but my Phoenix 923 screen name comes from the fact that the Phoenix is my favorite mythological creature out of everything. And since you can't just create a screen name with Phoenix because odds are 100% it's already taken, I decided to throw some numbers at the end where 923 is just basically my birthday. Nothing fancy.
So it's not really like, it doesn't have any like deep meaning.
Not really, no.
Just, this is my favorite mythical creature and this is my birthday.
Pretty much,
and
yeah.
It works.
Pretty much, and if that's taken up, which oddly enough it is kind of on some websites, I go with my other one, Phoenix 987, which just incorporates the month and the year I was born.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it makes it easy for me to remember when your birthday is, that's for sure.
Yep.
And, okay, well, my name, Marauder, NOR, is a combination of 2 things. I picked the name Marauder back in high school. We used to play a lot of Descent in the computer lab, and you could have, I think, up to 8 players. But anyway, you could create a screen name, and so when you killed someone, it would say, like, so-and-so killed so-and-so, or you were killed by this person.
Yep.
And so everybody was trying to come up with like a really unique screen name for this game, and my favorite method to play that game was I would go hide, because I would fly around the maps for hours and memorize all these little crevices you could hide in. And what I would do is I would hide, and then when someone would fly under me, I'd fly out, blow them up, steal all this crap, and then go hide somewhere else. And people hated me for this. And one time I was in the library just messing around on the computer, and I typed in the word thief, because that's what people would yell at me when I would kill them. They go, "You're such a thief!" And so I typed that in, and like the third result under like the thesaurus or whatever that comes up is Marauder. And so I was like, well, that's kind of a neat name. So I started using that, and it just kind of stuck. And I liked it, so I've just been using it ever since. The NOR actually came years later when I first got StarCraft 1. I actually jumped into a game once with 3 members of NOR, or that was the clan affiliation. And after about a 6-hour battle with them, I ended up defeating all 3 of them. At which point, they offered me into their clan, and I was like, okay, so I just adopted the moniker NOR, which stands for Knights of the Round, which is a Michigan gaming clan. Funny thing is, I've been able to find NOR members on Xbox Live and PSN, and a lot of other sites. And usually when we get together and we have that NOR at the end, it's kind of neat. It's kind of like a little in-joke everybody just gets. I only use the NOR ending when I can't get Marauder on something.
Yeah.
So generally I go by Marauder, given that NOR is really just a clan name. I'm not really a current member of the clan anymore, but I still use it. So yeah, that's basically where those came from. Johnny Johnson asks the second question, what is the earliest video game memory that you have?
Well, mine is, well, practically that Atari I gave you. What Atari was that?
Yeah, 2600?
The 2600, yeah. When that was just one of my first game consoles when I was like, God, like 3 or 4. You know, I was playing that thing on this old crappy, you know, antenna TV that we just had down in the basement. And I just loved playing like Yar's Revenge, and we had Asteroids. I wasted hours on Asteroids. But
Berserk's good too. I know you had Berserk.
Oh yeah, I did have Berserk. That's the one where you just kind of walk around shooting.
Yeah, shooting robots.
Yeah. But other than that, that's my earliest that I can ever remember back to when it comes to just games.
If I had to guess what my earliest video game related memory was, I don't really remember what the first thing was that I saw or anything like that. I have vague recollection of Atari 2600 games like Combat and Circus Atari, but I think the first time I ever was physically aware of what I was looking at was when I saw Super Mario Brothers for the first time on the NES. And Zelda and Metroid, and that's really, I remember very, very vividly the first time I ever saw Super Mario Brothers on the NES. Because my sister bought the system, brought it home, hooked it up to her really old TV. You know, the kind where you had to buy that special RF box to screw into the antenna screws. And hooked that all up and popped that game in, turned it on, and it blew my mind when I was a kid. I just thought that was incredible. So I guess I'd have to say Super Mario Brothers, although I do remember the Atari 2600 to a point. But it wasn't as revolutionary, I guess, as the NES was when I saw it. Okay, and the last question, what made you become interested in video games and or collecting?
Pretty much what made me interested in it was just something that, you know, a lot of my friends at school talked about. You know, they're like, oh, did you get the Super Nintendo or something like that? So when I finally got mine, I just started playing it for, you know, like recreational stuff. You know, I didn't really get interested in it for really any other reason, just it was something to do as a kid, you know. And when I started collecting, you can thank Marauder here for that.
What?
But he was practically the main reason why I started, actually bolstering my library a little bit. It's still nowhere near his. Nowhere near his. But
remember when Sammy was talking to me even before I joined Ocean to Bees, he goes, "How many games do you have?" "Oh, 5,000 maybe, give or take." And he started laughing, and I wasn't laughing. And he goes, "Oh, you're serious?"
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, okay."
But no, he also kind of showed me, when it comes to getting, really rare games, look for them to get them at a really good price and things like that. But other than that, that's pretty much.
Well, you've always been a PC gamer.
I've always been more of a PC gamer.
It's kind of hard to be a collector of PC games because you also have to collect the PCs that play said games.
Yeah, and that costs a pretty penny every time.
As for myself, I never really considered myself a collector until probably just getting into college. The thing about it was, I would get a system. I remember the first time I ever got a system was the Super Nintendo. It was my first game console. And back then it was like $200 or something to get the Super Nintendo. And my mom handed it to me and she said, "Now this is expensive. Do take good care of this." Because it was a lot of money. And so every time I got a game console past that, I just never got rid of the old ones. Partially because I just had too many memories with them, and I just... you can still play Super Mario World, so why get rid of it? And I still played Super Mario World. And I would just, when I'd get the N64, the Super Nintendo would be right next to it.
Yep.
Hooked up, ready to go. And I'd get the Sega Genesis from a garage sale just because I wanted it, and it would sit right next to the Super Nintendo, hooked up, ready to go. And eventually, I just kind of accumulated all this stuff to the point where I suddenly looked at what I had and went, well, I guess I'm a collector.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something I started out doing because, like, oh, I'm going to be a collector. It was more so just like, I never got rid of what I had.
You just kind of stumbled into it.
Yeah, I never sold back games to GameStop. I never got rid of my systems when they got older. I always just kind of boxed them up and put them in my closet and would drag them out every once in a while to play them. And I still, to this day, have a Sega Genesis hooked up to my TV at all times. Mm-hmm. Or I have, I get out my handhelds, I get out Game Boys, I get out Neo Geo Pocket Colors. And getting into college, I realized, well, I want to play the Atari Jaguar. So I gotta find one. And then that's when I started looking for systems and buying up systems and games. Mm-hmm. It also helped that you could walk into a Funko Land at the time, back when I was a kid, and you could pick out, like, even when the N64 was new, you could get Genesis games for just a couple of bucks.
Yep.
And they were just as good, in my opinion. So I would go in and buy older games and go home and have fun with them because they were cheaper to buy. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it just kind of accumulated from there. I'd get a system and just never get rid of it and just accumulate dozens, if not hundreds of games for it. And so, yeah. I've always been interested in video games, and I just kind of fell into the collecting aspect of it. Although looking back, I kind of wish I would have paid more attention to the Super Nintendo than I did. Because
their games are expensive now.
Prices of Super Nintendo games have skyrocketed. I have quite a collection on Super Nintendo. I probably have upwards of 60 plus games for it. But I kind of wish I would have been more apt to pick up like the Final Fantasies or the Secret of Mana. Games I don't have now that I want that are going to run me a pretty penny. Or mm-hmm. Earthbound, God forbid.
Yep, I got that.
I know you do. So yeah, that's pretty much all the questions we have. I want to thank Johnny Johnson, of course, for asking those. If anybody else has any questions, please do leave them in the comments below or on the oceanofbees.com forums. There's a link to the podcast section where you can leave your comments in there as well.
Like we said, we don't really get that many questions, so you have a pretty high chance of getting them answered.
Yeah,
So
I'm pretty much guaranteeing you now that you're gonna get your questions answered. Anyway, all right. To wrap this up, we're gonna talk about games that we've been playing recently, and it's been less than a week. I'll just start. I haven't had much time to play much of anything, given the fact that we had JFAX this weekend.
yeah,
And that pretty much ate up my entire weekend.
a lot of time and a lot of time recovering from that.
Yeah, no, I just took Monday and completely vegged because I was completely exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple games I have been playing is I started playing the more of the Ninja Gaiden game on Vita. Still liking that. I'm trying to get through the city level. I think it's like level 3.
Yep.
3 or 4. I can't remember. Because I remember that's when the game really starts to pick up, is if you can get through the city level, then the rest of the game really just moves along at a really nice clip. So I'm trying to get through that, still having some difficulties, because that game is ruthlessly difficult. Been playing a lot of Pikmin 2. My niece, she's like 8 years old, she loves Pikmin. I have the first Pikmin on Wii, with the improved game controls, or whatever they call it.
Yep.
And she just loved it, and she would just sit and watch me play it. And Pikmin 2, she's doing the same thing. She'll want to watch me play it. So when she comes over, that's pretty much all I play, because well, it's kind of fun too, because she can point out like stuff she sees, or she'll remind me of things that I need to do and places I need to go, because I'll forget.
Mm-hmm.
And she's actually been a big help in some of the levels. It's actually a lot of fun. And other than that, I haven't really been playing much. I played a little bit more Dead Island. We played a little bit of Left 4 Dead 2.
Yep.
Last night, even, we downloaded a map called Let's Build a Rocket. That was loads of fun.
Just one tiny level. All you have to do is just basically... There's a console off to the back where you research the different types of weapons and items. And when you research them, it takes a bit of time to, fill the bar and whatnot, and then you just go up to it, point at what you want to take out. Like if you wanted an Uzi or an AK-47, you point at the thing that's been unlocked, and it's automatically equipped on you. So it's pretty ingenious design, really.
Oh yeah, and you can build defenses. You can build chain link fences and cement barriers and trucks and whatever by standing within that certain area and just pressing the use button.
Mm-hmm.
We figured out a really good strategy when the three of us were playing, you, I, and Frenchie. We're sitting playing. Basically, we would just keep chucking Molotovs.
Yep, there's one opening that a vast majority of the zombies come through, so basically we would either just chuck a bile bomb or a Molotov at that door, and they would all just go there and die. So
yeah, and then we could just pummel them with bullets. And then, meanwhile, there's a rocket in the center of right in front of the technology computer, and you would have to just stand there and keep building onto it until it's complete, and then you escape. It's a very ingenious game mode, and it's a lot of fun. We actually played it through twice.
Yep.
Mainly because I wanted to, and I hit start before anyone could leave the room. But loads of fun. Highly recommended. It's called Let's Build a Rocket. I think there's also a map on left4deadmaps.com called Let's Build a Car.
Yep, I've seen gameplay video of that one. There's literally like parts littered across this map, and what you do is you go to these parts and you collect them, and then you place them, in the area where you're building the car, and of course you can build defenses and whatnot around it. And it's pretty much the same, except it doesn't have that technology tree where you can just grab stuff from. All that stuff is just kind of around the map. But from what I've seen of it, it's pretty similar to Let's Build a Rocket, and I wouldn't mind playing that.
We should try that out sometime later. And there was also the Crash Bandicoot 2 map.
Oh yeah, yep.
But I don't think we ever beat that.
Yeah, we couldn't beat the last thing. It was just because I get the fact that the guy wants to make it difficult, but he's breaking a general rule of Left 4 Dead in doing it, where he's spawning like 2 chargers, 3 hunters, things like that, whereas the general rule that Valve set up for spawning specials is that you cannot have more than 2 incapacitating specials on map at one time, which, when that happens, you know, what was it in the final area, like, a good 10 boomers and, like, 2 chargers came out of this one room. And then there was a tank chasing us all in the same room, and we just couldn't do it because we were just so overwhelmed.
There's essentially at the very end like 5 boxes you have to go press to detonate something or end the game. I couldn't find the 5th one. I got 4 out of the 5, and I couldn't figure out where the 5th one was. And then the tank got me.
Yep.
But no, it you could tell that a lot of detail and time went into that map because
it's a fun map.
It's a blast.
You know, if you're a fan of Crash Bandicoot, it's just a blast.
Yeah, especially if you played the second one, because there's all the levels I think are ripped from the second game. And even the level select is like the second game, where it's like a circular room with Cortez's head in the middle, like talking to you. It's really well done. But other than that, I haven't played much of anything. Just those 3 games. I got a couple of games at the JFAX convention that I'm looking to dig into, like Sonic 3D Blast, and Awesome Possum Kicks Dr. Machino's Butt, and Kirby's Dream Land 2.
Yep. So,
looking at getting into those, but just waiting to have time. Anyway, but I'll pass this off to Phoenix now.
My couple of games may seem contradictory to my style of play because, well, they're both online MMOs that I've been just kind of digging into recently, and as I've said in previous podcasts, I don't like playing with public people, you know, just people in general, unless they're my friends. But the first game that I'm really getting into, and I actually can't wait till it comes over here, is Phantasy Star Online 2.
I'm excited for that.
It just went into open beta over in Japan, and practically anyone around the world can actually jump in because I was able to. But for me, I am really, really, really enjoying that game, even though I can't understand a word anyone's saying. It's still a blast to go running through the environments, to go after the monsters, to, you know, plus also some of the environments are destructible, like there's trees that you can knock down, tall grass that you can cut so that you can move quicker through it, things like that. And something odd that I ran into my last play, I guess I was playing during a peak hour, was I created a mission for just my level of character, and since I'm not friends with anybody and I didn't want anyone to join my party because they would most likely be Japanese and I couldn't speak a word to them, I just basically created it friends only from, you know, a guide that I followed online. And when I went into the mission area to go do what the mission was, I was seeing like damage counts just popping up, you know, in the distance, and I'm like, that's not right. So when I went and found it, there were like two other parties of people just running around, and I'm like, well, that's pretty interesting. I thought I wanted just to play by myself. So I think the way that is that multiple parties can actually work on the same mission, which would be tons of fun in my opinion, because I just found this group of people and I was just, you know, following them around, you know. But until I finished my mission, then I just kind of went my way. But, you know, that's actually a pretty good idea now that I think about it, you know.
I can't wait for that game to come over here.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, granted the fact that when it does come over here, I know I'm going to have to restart my character, which I'm okay with, because I'm having so much fun with it right now that I don't really care.
Well, because I'll be right next to you doing it with you.
You know? And the other MMO that I've been playing that just came to Steam recently is Vindictus, or however you say that. And I guess the reason why I do like that game so much, in the couple of hours that I did play it, was it plays actually really close to Phantasy Star. Like, the battle and combat system is really close to that. But the thing that I do like about it is that there's like this whole grapple system incorporated in it as well, to where if you grab a monster and you're like by a stone pillar or a wall or something, and you press, a specific key, you'll throw them or smash them through that object to do extra damage. And it's a nice addition to the combat, to where you're not just limited to just click, 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 swing, swing, swing. It adds a little bit more variety to the combat, and I just think it just makes it fun. Another thing that I did notice is that the intro mission, just basically the tutorial mission getting you used to everything, you fight this gigantic spider, and I mean, this thing is huge. And I've also watched other gameplay videos of people taking down these gigantic dragons in like groups of like 16, just wailing on this thing, which is another kind of Phantasy Star type thing, taking down gigantic monsters with groups of people.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, that's awesome! I can't wait to get to that. But that's been like the only other game. One other thing that I have been kind of restarting to playing is Earthbound. I played that a bit just because I was like, why not? Just blow like 20 minutes. And I'm getting kind of actually more back into that game. Just because it is one of my most favorite RPGs of all time. But it's pretty much been all that I've been playing recently.
Okay, cool.
Not much, because it really hasn't been that long.
Okay, well, I'm not a fan much of MMOs myself, but when you said that Phantasy Star Online 2 is an open beta, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
The fact that it's going to be free to play is going to be fun.
Oh yeah.
I don't play many free to play games, but that's one that I would spend some time with. Because like I was talking about last week with the Gundam SD Capsule Fighter, was it?
Yeah, something like that.
That game's obviously not for me, because I'm not a fan of Gundam. But I am a fan of Phantasy Star.
Yep.
So the fact that Phantasy Star Online 2 is going to be free to play is very intriguing to me. And I cannot wait to get into that. And yeah, you're going to have to restart your character, but I'm going to be right there next to you.
And I wouldn't care either way, because I was having a blast either way. So.
Now, how do they handle weapon select? Like, can you have 2 weapons equipped at one time?
There's a rollout of 3 different weapons that you can have equipped at one time, and you just press a key and it'll pop up, and you keep pressing that key and it'll just roll to the next weapon.
Okay.
So it's all very fluid whenever you just want to swap weapons and things, and the item use is mapped to the number keys up top. So if you just want to use a monomate or whatever, you just hit that key and then you'll just automatically use it. So
now, do they do right-hand and left-hand weapon use?
I don't know, because I can't speak runes, and and I don't think I've really come across any weapons that would matter whether it would be right-handed or left-handed.
Okay.
But another thing with combat that I forgot is that it does have that combat hit timing thing.
Oh, the timed combos?
Yeah, where you will do like more damage if you press it at the right time, which I love, because then you're just not, mashing the attack button, you're actually
right.
Thinking out your attacks, getting used to your weapon and the timings, things like that.
Yeah. Phantasy Star Portable had that left-handed combat thing where like you could hit the left trigger and bring up your left-handed weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So I always had like a sword in my right hand and a gun in my left hand.
Yeah.
So no matter what I came across, I could generally take it out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm very excited to hear that they kept the timed combo system, because that was one thing I liked about Phantasy Star Online 1 on the GameCube, was you could go from special attack, simple attack, heavy attack, and link them together very easily.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm personally looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. I cannot wait for that. Anyway, looks like we're going to hit our 45-minute limit, so we're going to go ahead and just end it here. Please do leave comments and questions below. We will get to them next episode. And hope you guys enjoyed listening to this episode of Welcome to Bonus Stage. And as always, I'm your host, Marauder.
And I'm Phoenix 923.
And we'll catch you guys on the next